Alright guys, Mr. G here with a Crossout State of the Game video. Thank you Zebra Runner for sending me this pure cancer build that we're going to use a high power score, because today we're going to be talking about the end game meta in Crossout. And Sparkles, one of my mods, pointed out that most of the builds look like the International Space Station. A bunch of 4x4 grid pieces held together with sticks and twigs, and I thought, you know what? He's ridiculously right. That is the state of the game. We're going to talk about the high power score meta, and we're going to say, Targrim, is this what you envisioned when you made a, I'm going to use air quotes, car game? Because very little in this game above 12,000 power score actually resembles anything looking like a car. So we're going to talk about some of the metas you're going to encounter, and these are people that have probably put hundreds, if not thousands of hours into the game, and or hundreds of dollars into the game. Now, when you look at the game, when you first start out, you're thinking, hey, this is a game where I get to build cars. Yeah, nope. There's radar spam we were pointing out there. There's nothing like using a radar as armor. So while you're listening, Targrim, can we please remove the radar armor spam? You've done a nerf to decor, but you know what? We could use a little bit more. Now, this build has absolutely everything on it, but nothing about this build looks realistic or really makes sense. Our first meta build, the dog build. This is the only build that anything resembles a car at all, namely because it has wheels. So at least this build resembles something that you might consider as a driving car, Mad Maxian combat vehicle. Everything else we're going to encounter at this power score is either going to be on hover or it's going to be on legs. And there we go, of course, Scorpion Hover Pancake Bro. That's been one of the longest and oldest metas involved in the game, is Scorpions on hover. They've been around forever, even with all the nerfs and changes that have happened to them throughout the game. Now this build, it can take an absolute beating, but I mean, look at this thing. In real life, this thing looks like it would fall apart if you farted on it too hard. But that's still the nature of armor mechanics. I do hope they continue to work on maybe giving different armor types a chance. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Maybe give scavenger armor bonus against cannons, maybe light armor bonus against machine guns. Give players a choice about the kind of armor and what kind of faction armor they're going to put on their vehicle and how that might affect it. We know they can do it because the Bastion cab has resistances to different damage types, so it's something they could code into the game and something I think Targrim should consider. Now this guy, he's running hover, but he's not running meta because his hover build actually looks nice and doesn't look anything like the International Space Station, like the thing we're flying around in. Alright, let's take this hover pancake out one more time and talk about another meta build, the Helios box. This one's been around for a while, but it's essentially box-shaped build because you've got to armor your Helios weapons, puts out high DPS, has good mobility, and like any hover pancake build, it's going to have spaced armor on it to keep it alive. But it looks nothing like a car. It doesn't look like it would fly or move. And I just feel like the heart and soul of the game, for players that have put hundreds and thousands of hours maybe into the game, ends up being something nothing at all like a car. So I'm hoping that Targrim is going to start releasing some parts or some changes to really bring the game back to its roots. And while we're at it, let's launch some porcupines into these poor bots, and let's grab them with some cap cans, because at least if I'm going to be out here, let's have some fun. Ah, the Typhoon Spider. Yet another meta. You've got Aegis on front. It looks like a huge pancake because you have spaced armor all the way around the outside, and of course you have one of the best relic cannons in game slapped on there. At least with the Spider, I mean, you're getting to be a crawly bot thing. It's a little bit more similar to a car than the flying pancake we're flying around in. I guess this begs the question, how do hovers fit into the game, and how does Targrim keep hovers in the game without making them the best high power score movement part that you could possibly choose from? I don't have the answer to that. I know they've been working on it, but ever since Dawn's Children was released, it does feel like the whole core and heart of the game has changed away from a car game into some crazy scientific spacey shooter thing that I don't even know. Honestly, I feel like these guys could make a really cool space game. I don't know. Junkyard space mechanic battling. I don't know. There actually is a game that I played ages ago called Galactic Junk League, but that's a different story. Here we have the Typhoon Hover. No surprise there, it's a couple Typhoons strapped onto a hover chassis, spaced armor around the sides. Your classic high power score crossout meta. Now, can we hit this guy with a porcupine? Yeah, I don't know. There's yet another Typhoon meta build behind us. You'll notice pretty much everyone at this power score is running an Oculus because you got to deal with people sneaking up on you with cloak, like your dog friends, for example. And the Oculus is significantly better now that it tags on the map where the enemy's coming from. So thanks for that. Let me know, though, how you guys feel about the Oculus in the comments. Well, let's take this thing out for a few more matches and see what kind of builds we're encountering. Hey, look! It's our twin brother, Porco Hover Pancake. Although this guy's opted for 3 Porcos, we instead went with 2 cap cans, cloak, and an Aegis on this build because it's the Swiss Army knife of builds. It can do just about everything. Well, let's use one of those abilities. Let's cloak. Let's get up here and let's start spamming some porcupines on the field. I do have to say, I do enjoy porcupines and cap cannons, although they are pure evil. We may need to look at how cap cans work. See if we can, I don't know. Don't have the answer for that. But either way, let's get in here and let's blow some guys up while we're at it. Let's just sneak around this corner. You'll notice you see Pulsar everywhere. Pulsar is definitely one of the meta weapons you're going to see in game. Usually, though, you're going to find it on hover because it's a lot more mobile and it is a pretty glass cannon type weapon. Can we get these porcupines in there? Get them in there. Now this guy, what is this guy doing? You usually don't see builds like this above 12,000 power score. Yet the wedge, I'll give you points for this, Targrim. You don't see a lot of wedges at high power score. Wedge used to be king, and you still see tons of them in mid-range power score, but not really that many wedges at high power score. They still need to work on the game physics, but I imagine that's hard-coded into the game that they can't change it. Although it still drives me nuts when a little sports car flips over a giant, massive humpback build. Oh, and the humpback. That's a cabin I really miss seeing in game. But while we're at meta stuff, here's Pulsars. It's meta whether it's on hover or spooter. Not sure why this guy's got it on spider, but hey, I guess you know what? He's got him protected decently. It works. Now, can we win this match? They're down 2, we're down 1. It's a lot of camping going on at this power score. And you guys that have played Clan Wars, you probably see these kinds of builds all the time. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments about current wedges and metas, and I don't know why I said wedges. Hey, there's yet another Foon guy right there. But I do realize that you guys probably do get tired of seeing the same builds all the time. Either way, can we pulsar this guy to death? Can we please? Can we finish him up? Nope. Nope. Get in there. Come on. Sorry, this is taking too long. This guy on meat grinders. Meat grinders need a buff while we're at it, Targrim. Nobody, I don't mean nobody, but you don't see him at super high power scores. It would be nice to see more of the omnidirectional movement parts, at least being on par with each other. Speaking of which, maybe if we got omnidirectional wheels, people would stop using hovers and at least switch to something that looks slightly more like a car or something you could drive. Well, I guess I'll just park here until my imminent demise or until we win this match. Are we going to win this match? Ooh, it's 3-on-3. It's so close. It's so close. At least with our missing hovers and back, we can launch these things a little bit further. It's up to you, Pulsar Spooter. I believe in you, buddy. You can do it. Can you do it? Maybe. Come on. Let's finish this up. Any second now. Wait for it. Oh, this is going to end badly for me. But look, at least this guy is driving something that's non-meta and creative and reminds me how the game used to feel. Points to you, good sir. Yeah, I think all of us Crossout players would just like to see a wider range of builds that are viable in the game. Now, I realize that the top tier players are going to go towards top tier weapons, but I feel like one of the biggest issues is with movement parts. And then there's just only a few movement parts to use. I mean, you're either going to use Bigfoots, ML200s, or hovers. Those are the golden golden movement parts that you're going to end up using. I mean, you could use meat grinders as well, but anything else isn't worth taking. Give us more purple wheels, give us more purple something. We just miss having variety, because variety is the spice of life, Targrim. Building new things, trying new things, not just recycling the same flying pancake International Space Station builds that we've seen at the top of the game. Heck, I'd just love to be back in something that felt a little bit like a truck. Even though I've been moaning and I have been complaining, there's a ridiculous amount of ingenuity and crafting and skill that does go into these builds, even if they are absolutely ridiculous in a lot of ways. I mean, look at this game. It's green fire, orange fire, parts coming off other vehicles, apocalyptic landscape, death and destruction, smoking bits, sparking weapons. It's come so far since beta when I first started playing it. It's improved in so many ways, and I feel like it can improve in a lot of other ways and really become an even more amazing game than it already is. But we got to bring new players back. We got to make sure that we're keeping seal clubbing down. We got to keep it creative for those of us that have spent tons of hours in the game, or those of us that have spent tons of money on the game. I'm not saying ruin their parts. Give them new stuff to buy, new things to try, new metas to do. Maybe think about some changes to armor. That's all I'm saying. I just feel like nobody, when they begin this game, dreamed that top-tier gameplay was going to be flying around in a giant International Space Station pancake. Yes. Getting yelled at in a foreign language. The universal symbol that you're either doing great or you're doing really terrible. But you know what? For once, I think Mr. G hasn't played too awfully. Only reason is because I use the best equipment out there and one of the most viable meta builds that exists. Thanks for sending that my way, Zeba. I do appreciate it. But I think that's all the top tier play I can handle for today. So guys, before we sign out on this video, just let me know what you think about the current meta at top tier. Now I know this is probably only 10% of players even play above 12,000 power score, but these are the people that keep the game going. And to be honest, whether you like it or not, they're the ones that fund your free-to-play game in a majority of ways. So I want to hear from you. If you play at top tier, what do you think about meta? How do you feel? What changes do you want? What changes don't you want? I may agree with you and I might not. Either way, be good. I'll catch you guys later. Mr. G out.
Eat.